And we're back, and we've got my boy Jimmy 3Tech with us. James, what's up, brother?
What's going on, brother?
Hey, man, just another day living the dream. I'm excited because we finally have football back. We got Raiders football this Sunday. We're going into Carolina. We're taking on the Panthers. Let's break this down. What are some things that we need to do so that we beat the Panthers this week?
Well, thanks for asking, Kenny. First and most importantly, you gotta corral that beast, right? And the best way to corral him is four solid corners. And I'm not talking DBs. I'm talking game plan. First one, dominate and control that line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. We have to. That's number one. Number two, and this one I go back, it's fundamental number one, force turnovers. Because if we're rushing that QB, we're forcing them to make mistakes. That leads to turnovers. Third, we can't play sloppy. No penalties. We got to stop third downs. How many times last year did we give up defensive penalties on third down or give up a big third down play like a 3rd and 12 or a 3rd and 15 and let them convert? And, just overall, just play conservative, pound that rock. We got Josh Jacobs, that guy's feed him that rock and, and I say conservative because we got a lot of new players on this team and we don't want to give them tape.
Right. And I think that some of the things that we need to look at too is, obviously we're going to pound the rock with Jacobs and, we want to be conservative running the ball, but at the same time, we want to open things up. We don't want to give a lot of tape because it's early, but at the same time, we don't have a lot of tape on this team. They've got a new head coach. They've got a new offense coordinator. They got a new defense coordinator. They got a new quarterback. They have the same old Christian McCaffrey who exactly what he can do. And if he gets outside, then he can light it up and he can tear us up. But one thing that I'm excited about is our linebackers are much better than what we had last year. And speaking of our linebackers last year, we'll be facing one of them in Tahir Whitehead. So one of my keys is using Darren Waller and utilizing Darren Waller, and that matchup nightmare of Darren Waller and their linebackers is going to be hell all week. Also looking at their corners, you got Eli Apple, who got put on the injured reserve list.
Ow.
So Henry Ruggs is going to be lining up against the number 2. You got Brian Edwards lining up against the number 3. And who's going to cover Renfro? So those are some things that kind of stand out to me. Those are some things that are exciting about me. But for me, realistically, defensively, we have to stop them. I think that the biggest thing is I think offensively we can move the ball, but I think defensively what we need to do is we need to make sure that Jonathan Abrams is going in there and he's hitting somebody in the mouth quick and early. And I think that we need to make sure that Trayvon Mullen is keeping up with Robbie Anderson, right? You got to set that tone. It's like Al always said, right? Hit somebody in the mouth, hit them hard, hit them early. The quarterback must go down and he must go down hard. That's what you need to do to get these guys set up for success in the beginning of this game.
Absolutely. And didn't Robbie Anderson torch us last year like badly? Him and was it Curse?
Yeah, I mean,
they put up
that whole team
gnarly numbers. But I mean, it was just that game. It started out, competitively, and then all of a sudden it was like, and Robbie. I mean, the one thing about Carolina is they lost their anchor.
Yeah,
he retired, and I think Quan Short is like really. I think he's going to be their defensive leader on that side of the ball. I mean, I think he's been there one of the longest tenured players.
Excuse me.
Bless you. And, but the biggest thing is, and don't count out old Seth Roberts, ex-Raider too. I mean, he signed there in Carolina and Seth was clutch. I mean, he brought us some games that, I think it was Baltimore was one, the Tampa Bay game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, realistically, this is going to be a great test for this young defensive back core that we have. But I have a feeling that we're going to see some old school smash mouth football and defense this year.
I think so too. I think that, Paul Guenther knows that there's a target on his back, right? You've got Rob Marinelli sitting in the same room. And Marinelli wasn't brought in just to be a defensive line coach. He's a guy that was brought in that if something is needed and if a change needs to be made, then Marinelli can step in and take over that defensive coordinator role. It's very similar to when the Raiders had Ken Norton Jr. and they brought in John Pagano, right?
Absolutely.
Pagano wasn't brought in to be just another guy on the defensive coaching staff. He was brought in to be the defensive coordinator, and you saw the changes that were made when Pagano took over.
Oh,
So
100%.
I think that with Gunther, there's obviously a target on his back. We've seen what his defenses have done. Now, has he been given a short end of the stick? Absolutely. I mean, you look at guys that he's had: Daryl Worley, Tahir Whitehead, Vontez Burfict, all guys who have played really well, just not in the system that we have. And now he's been able to build a team and build a defense based off of the system with a bunch of young guys, of guys that he is used to coaching, and players with the styles that he's used to coaching. So he's not asking players who have done the same thing for 25, 35 years of their life to do something differently in year 6, 7, 8, 9 of their contract.
So who, in your opinion, scores first for the Raiders on the offensive side of the ball?
For me, I think it's going to be a sweet, simple pass. I think it's going to be, I'm going to say Foster Moreau.
Okay.
And the reason I say Foster Moreau is because one of the things that we talked about is we talked about getting better in the red zone, right? We talked about
Absolutely.
the Raiders getting better with their red zone offense. We traveled down to the red zone a lot, and penalties kicked us in the ass every single time. And I think that one of the things that they've been focusing on this year is getting better in the red zone. One of the guys that's best in the red zone, Foster Moreau. I think that he has a lot of comfortability. I think he has a lot of familiarity with Derek Carr. I think Derek Carr is comfortable throwing to him, and I think that Foster's going to be the guy that scores that first touchdown.
Right on.
What do you think?
Part of me wants to go with Alec Ingold. Just a nice, A gap smash.
Right.
But you mentioning red zone, we signed this guy who happens to be kind of a doppelganger to me, this guy named Jason Witten.
Yeah.
And he performs phenomenally in the red zone specifically. So I'm going to push my chips, no pun intended, for Jason Witten. And I almost have a feeling we're going to score defensively tomorrow, or this weekend as well.
Ooh, that's a bold prediction. I'd like to see it. Obviously that when teams score defensively, when teams lead in the takeaway battle, that's when their defense is generally really well, or they play really well. I think that that's one of the things that, we had a really that worked out for us in 2016. Our defense wasn't the best, but we got the ball a lot. We took the ball away a lot. We had a lot of strip sacks. We had a lot of interceptions. We had a lot of fumble recoveries. And I think that that's one of the things, and that's one of the keys that we need to have on this defense. You need to have some dogs going after the ball and not just trying to tackle somebody.
Well, there was the last time we played Carolina in Oakland,
Yes.
Khalil Mack had a pick six.
Yes.
And I mean, Cam was in his end zone. In fact, I was in the box right behind there watching it. It was insane. Like, you want to talk about, 50,000 volts, and not that the crowd was never energized, but I mean, oh my gosh, that was absolutely phenomenal when he did that. But that really is a demoralizer. And that's the kind of defense I want to see brought out on Sunday, is, like you said, hitting people in the mouth, showing them something that people haven't seen for 20 years, 25 years. And that's just a team, an old school tag group of just smash mouth, pipe hitting boys out there just going to lay some wood.
No doubt. And, you talked about the crowd getting into it and crowd noise obviously being a factor. With the Carolina Panthers not having any fans, just like we're not going to have an Allegiant Stadium. I mean, it's basically going to look like it is right now behind you in this video.
Uh-huh.
What do you think the factor of crowd noise is going to make? Teddy hasn't been known to be very successful on the hard counts. Carr has. So do you think that plays to our advantage in the away game, or do you think that it plays, to a disadvantage?
I think it's going to be an advantage. I mean, for the most part, crowd noise, they're going to pipe crowd noise in. I can't remember the exact percentage that they're going to do, but I don't think it's going to affect the players as much as you probably think. Most of the guys, it's white noise when you're out there on that field. Personally, I mean, for me personally, it was. I know for them, a lot of them it was as well.
Yeah.
But again, it goes back to penalties and being disciplined. and how disciplined the guys are. We saw that on the defensive side of the ball last year on occasion. There'd be little mix-ups. And then, of course, there were some bad offensive holding calls last year, like the
Really bad,
Indianapolis
yeah.
game was one, where they would call some, really bad offensive holding calls, especially like on Richie, which you would see him holding within the box, and they were calling it outside the box, which I couldn't understand that. So, again, it's just being disciplined, going in and playing clean. That's the biggest thing. Clean meaning not giving them any reason to throw that yellow flag at all.
Right. And, we talk about holding penalties, and it's funny because, we talk about the fact that, Richie got called a lot outside the box. And realistically, us as defensive linemen, we know that if you're a guard or a center, you're not going to get called for holding no matter what. And so for our guys to get called for holding, it's very disheartening to see because, across the league, if you're inside those tackles, if you're inside the box, it's not getting called unless you're wearing silver and black.
Yeah.
That's real.
That's why I say I think it's playing discipline, playing clean, being professional, that pride and poise, playing with poise. That's a big one. Charles Woodson always said play with poise. That would make sure that you're always playing clean, head up, shoulders back, playing clean. But I mean, with COVID, the stand plays for a lot of people. This is going to be almost like this is going to be our inoculation per se. This season's starting I haven't been able to see friends or family for quite some time. So this is going to be a breath of fresh air per se for me.
No doubt.
Especially. So I'm absolutely excited.
Yeah, and getting into that, talking about friends and family, I know that, we talked about on the first episode, we talked about home gating and, what we're going to do for games. What do you got planned for this home gate this weekend?
So I'm, my typical, if I'm, being, the chef Boyardee, usually I'll grill, but, generally if I don't want to, the place I'm going is Ike's. So Sunday I will be getting the Jimmy 3 Tech special, which is 2 Sandos and some chips. So for our pod listeners, what I plan on doing this week is, if they can pick the correct offensive winner and tweet that out and tag you and I and hashtag, or tag, of course, Ike Sandwiches and hashtag the training table, they will be getting a Jimmy 3 Tech Sando combo, not delivered to them, but on me per se, and on
nice,
which I thought would be a nice little thing. So, with 800 sandwiches varieties, I think they can find 1 or 2 to pick. But that's what I'm going to be doing this weekend. How about you?
I'm going to watch the game at home. We have the game here in the Bay Area, so I don't have to go anywhere to watch it. I'm doing the post game with Cody, so we'll be on Cody's YouTube channel. So make sure you check us out there.
I'll be, of course, watching.
Of course, I know you will be. But yeah, I'm going to stay home and watch the game. I like to get loud in my apartment, shake the walls, wake everybody up before 11 o'clock a.m. It's my Sunday tradition, so I'm excited to get back to it. But no, just going to do that. But yeah, make sure everybody is tweeting out who you think is going to be the first offensive touchdown. Make sure you tag me, make sure you tag Jimmy, and make sure you tag Ike's on there. And James will pick the winner. And I'm excited. James, look forward to talking to you about this game next week, going over the recap. Anything you want to add for the listeners?
Let's be safe. Let's have fun. And you know what? The biggest thing, why don't we hashtag Homegate training table pictures this weekend?
Yeah, there you go.
Right. So let's do some Homegate training table, hashtag Homegate training table, some home gating pictures with the friends, the familia, what the spreads going on. I know we had I did the 2 surveys. We had nachos as the preferred side. Carne asada was like the main. So let's see some spreads out there, and maybe we can pick a winner next week on who had the best spread.
Love it. I love it. James, as always, it's a pleasure. Good talking to you, brother. I'm definitely be talking to you throughout the week. Obviously, we'll be tweeting throughout the game. And hopefully when we get back here next week, we're talking about some good things that happened in this game. Hopefully we get to announce a winner of the sandwich. That's right.
And a dub.
That's right, and a dub. But we're not going to eat a dub like Jameis Winston. We're just going to get that dub, all right?
That's right.